Honkai Star Rail has added so many new characters since our video from last year, so it's no surprise we keep getting comments from you guys asking for an updated ranking video. Now, with the release of Fei Xiao, Hoyoverse has finally invited us to give you guys exactly what you've been asking for. But this time, we're not just reviewing the ultimates. We're going to review every cinematic combat animation for every character, from the ultimates to the skills to the talents, all to see which character truly has the best combat animation in Honkai Star Rail. Let's get started. Arlan. Whoa, hang on. I actually love the weight of this sword. Whoa! The anticipation on that's actually really good. So just like the shifting of this sword here, there's actually a lot of really good weight being done here. I really like, for example, like right here, the sword doesn't really leave the floor, which with a heavy sword would be exactly the case. The floor would carry part of the weight. That's a really cool attention to detail that I like a lot. This is good anticipation, even though it makes no physical sense. There's a small slight gripe here. It's out of the frame, so it's not really that important, but like it really should be straight here, ideally. And like the sword could be a little bit further back. It's a small thing, but everything else is actually surprisingly good. And I say that because I don't think I was actually a big fan of Arlan's ultimate. So we're going to take a look at that and see what happens. Yeah, it's just disappointing. He's doing a good job, but the camera isn't looking at anything in particular. There's a lot of opportunity here to have some anticipation, either focus on the sword or focus on the shoulder or focus on something that's gonna be doing something important and not just like the bicep, which doesn't actually do anything. Especially this, where the sword is barely in view, the person is barely in view, and the center frame has nothing in it. Not a big fan of that. I think ultimately it comes down to the camera. I'm gonna give Arlan a C just because the ultimate is still, I think, a D tier, but the skills push them just up a little bit. Next is Asta? She's not actually doing a whole lot. So there's a couple things that are not ideal for this. She steps it into the floor. She lets go right as the floor contacts. If you want to do that, you have to be contacting the thing that you're using force on, which would be her hand on the staff, to actually have that stick into the ground. She's actually doing a really good job pulling this out. See how her hip comes close? Putting your center of gravity closer to the thing means it's heavier, right? To pick it up. The problem comes from right afterwards, where now it's so far away from her that the weight that she was trying to convey earlier is just like gone. This bicep is doing so much work right now. So that lack of consistency in the weight is taking up a couple points there. All right, Asta's ultimate. Yes! She still is the queen of anticipation. That was fantastic. I love her ultimate. The timing, the feel, the spacing of that movement feels really good and has a great payoff. I think she's an A. There's some small nitpicks in there, but it's still quite good. Heng. Okay. The stances are okay. These stances don't feel super strong to me, and I don't know if it's because his spear is actually kind of short. This is okay, but this is actually not a super accurate spear pose. Typically, this part, this back of the spear, usually rests against your back. So right now, this doesn't feel quite good enough. If you can imagine like Yukong, it's almost always tucked into his armpit, and that's because you have to have that stabilizing factor. So that would actually feel a little bit more accurate of a stance. This here is a little unclear in terms of which hand he's using to actually strike. Yeah, because he switches the hand like here. You can kind of see here. It's not really done super clearly. You can't see the hand here, and then you just don't really see that flip. He's actually like switching hands right now. It's not very transparent. It's gonna be a little bit less clear because of that, and therefore just gotta take off points. Yeah, honestly, that's like, it's kind of mid. Like, I think the skill's kind of mid. What's the ultimate look like? Okay. Yeah, I remember now. This one was also mid. This is all cool. This is really great. I love the facial appreciation here. But like right here, this is not giving us proper view of what's actually important. This doesn't feel like anticipation. There's a couple problems with it. First of all, the spear needs to be going in a direction that is being anticipated. After it disappears for a few frames, which is also confusing, it goes this way, which is like the totally opposite direction. If you really want to have that anticipation feel good, you should really be considering something closer along the lines of more of a javelin throw almost, right? It might not be the best decision in this particular case for clarity, but I do think it will help with the anticipation. This I don't like because it just makes no sense. The camera's going downwards, you don't see any clarity of where the character is, and then he appears out of nowhere. This pose, on the other hand, is great. It's a great finisher, it's a great payoff. It just doesn't have the setup to let it shine. Heng is a D. Even though I do really like this pose, and it redeems a lot of Heng's other things, Heng had a couple of problems with his actual poses and his actual skill set. Okay, who's next? Herta. Oh, Hammer Girl! Yes! Oh no. Oh no. This skill was a little disappointing, I'm not gonna lie. Even though it's overall quite solid and it feels good, you can't really see the hammer's arc, which is the main point of the attack. So it would have been really cool if they actually had a bit more of a silhouette here to have the hammer hit down over here instead of like in front of her. It's a very, very small adjustment, but you would actually be able to keep this arc very, very clear, especially if you highlight it with some effects, which is currently missing as well. She's already quite well silhouetted here. Just maintain that and bring it here. I would say also that technically speaking, it kind of goes a little weird in that the peak of her arc is here when it should really be after she lands. So right here, she's only able to have leverage to actually throw the hammer down after she lands. Because of that, the peak should actually be here. Like she should be landing and like doing something crazy here with the like this stuff, right? Like she'll land and then she'll like boom. That would be a little stronger, but instead the peak reaches in midair and then doesn't make a lot of sense in terms of how she actually gets out of that before she lands, basically starting the arc too early. So it doesn't feel as satisfying. Talent, what's it? Okay, I almost liked it. It's good. Like I'd say like balance of like having to lean back to like have this thing, like the fulcrum works really well. Like this is good. Check mark. Really solid movement there for the spin. The only thing I'm missing is the weight here at the end. There's no sliding at all for this hammer. There's no residual momentum from her. She just actually kind of just stops for having spun such a heavy hammer around so quickly. I do really like this pose. I just think that the momentum isn't carrying over. So you notice that the animator is doing a really good job having her sort of bounce a little bit to the left. And that's really, really good. The problem is that she wouldn't bounce to the left. She would rotate. Overall, like everything with her like extra limbs and everything would start going that way because she's still rotating this way from the hammer. As soon as this thing stops, even if it stops immediately, her entire torso would still keep rotating until at the point where she would probably have to step down her left foot to catch herself because she would be over here. You see the difference? Like she would actually be all the way over here because she would have to spin so far from that momentum. That's one way you could do it. You could stop her. That's another way if you want to stop her from spinning, but you still have to have her stopping the momentum that's actually being put into the system, which is the spinning momentum, not the translational momentum. So that's not ideal. It's not bad. It still looks very cute and it's very effective, but I would say it's just not quite accurate. That's her talent. It's pretty good. And here's her ultimate. Yes. Oh. That was so good. Look at the arcs here. So she comes in through here. The lines of action are following this arc. And by lines of action, I basically mean emphasized motion. But in this case, it's a spinning arc. It's an entire arc. It's a very complex one. It's being set up here with her body, followed up with her hammer. And then not only that, set up again with her body, and then followed up with her hammer. You see how many times that looped in on itself? That's 4 to 5 times of an emphasis on that exact line of action. And it feels so good to pay that off. And they just do such a great job with it. It feels unfair to rank her solely on her ultimate. I think her ultimate is an S tier, but it's not quite an S tier character. She's an A. I would put her above Asta though. Who's next? Hook. What you got for me, Hook? This run back is cute, but technically animation wise, I do have to take off points because she's running like a normal person, but her other hand weighs way too much. This hand should actually be trailing behind her, like over here, which might not look quite as good for the animation. So I kind of agree with that, but like you could bring it back just a little bit just to have that be a little bit more heavy. That's my only gripe with her. All right, what's her ultimate look like? Yeah, that's cute. That's cute. That's cute. Basically, this needs to go back a little bit further before it pushes her body back. It's a very small thing, but like if she just had this thing almost touch her head just a little bit, that would make her lean back a little bit more believable. It's a very small thing, but it's otherwise quite good. Hook is probably a solid B, very solid B. All right, March 7th. What? That's so cute. That was impressive. I think just from a character perspective, this is fantastic. The arcs on here are absolutely gorgeous. Really good spacing on the arms here. Very satisfying and snappy spacing. The facial animation here is winning me over. Like, I think this is really, really cute. And it's a great character moment. They're not afraid of the face. I think it's really important to highlight the face. That and with the camera movement and stuff like that, with the effects, this is really, really good. And there's a lot of cool anticipation in this particular pose because they zoom in for the anticipation, even though the anticipation is technically over here, but they make it into a character moment because from an acting standpoint, you get to see how this emotion correlates with her arm being raised, right? It's sort of like a victory pose. This is really, really good. It's a really creative way to add anticipation without showing the actual physical movement. What's her talent? That's such a good pose, bro. Look at that silhouette. Look how far back she leans. It's so appealing. I would definitely say the silhouette here is extremely clear. This is a fantastic pose. God, I didn't expect to like March 7th so much. What's her ultimate look like? Yeah. March 7th, why? Everything else was so good. The ultimate, it's a little disappointing. So now that I know that her skill is so gorgeous, it makes me upset that this pose doesn't hit the same way, right? This pose isn't quite as strong. And the reason is because you're not getting the same clarity in the silhouette as the other one. You don't see the elbow, you don't see the hand, you don't see the leg. There's just a lot of things missing. I also don't really like how the arrow's being drawn. See how much she has to draw the arrow back? And as soon as she sort of draws it back, it just kind of stops. It's better to have more of a slowdown at the end so it becomes gradual near the end. But here it just kind of reaches the point and then it just stops moving. And that makes it feel very sort of video gamey. Yeah, so when I say this is video gamey, I don't mean that this belongs in a video game. What I mean is that it feels like you're just holding a bar until it reaches green and then you let go. But in real life, bows are much more curved in their resistance, right? The further you pull, the more resistance it has. So you actually have a slowdown at the end where your hand is pulling even harder, but it can't move as much and it slows down. And that would feel better and more natural. She's so close to an S. I want to give her an S, but she is an A. She's a top A though. All right, Natasha is next. It's cool, but I'm kind of disappointed in this case where it goes out of frame. You just don't see the art. This is kind of the main motion and you just don't see it because it's outside of, that's not great. Because outside of that, there's nothing else happening. So you really should frame it. What's her ultimate look like? Yeah, okay. Well, that's way better than the skill. So this is good. I'll point out a couple problems with it real quick. I don't see anything here. This is a camera cut that I don't agree with. You're losing clarity. I would rather cut to the teddy bear and follow the teddy bear than to cut the empty space and then have the teddy bear just fly through it. Oh, sorry. The teddy bear doesn't even fly through it. It just cuts to empty space and then it just cuts away as soon as the teddy bear is there. There's not a lot of clarity there. It's like this doesn't make sense. So that's big points off there. Everything else, fantastic. I would put Natasha probably in a C. Who's next? We have Pela. She's like, oops. I think the skill itself is quite good. Oh yeah! Pela! Falls a little flat at the end. I think she's quite strong at the beginning. She's actually a pretty solid A. This is Qingque. Oh, she's the Mahjong player. Whoa! That's cute. Oh, what? They achieved a lot with this gesture here. The facial animation is fantastic and it's got great composition. I think this is also really, really cool. This is honestly probably one of my favorite skills so far. Damn, that's her basic attack. That's so cool, dude. Yes. Yes. Yes! Notice how her head leads the motion the whole time. The excitement in her emotions and her character is what's leading the motion. That feels really, really good. Really, really cool, subtle anticipation here. Notice how when she brings it down, her hand goes back a little bit, which is what you would do with anticipation. She's absolutely an S. Our first S. All right, who's next? We have our glorious Lord and Savior, Sampo. That was pretty mid. How is he getting into this pose from the previous pose? He's pivoting on one foot, but he's rotating like 270 degrees. This is really hard to do in real life. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to do that. What you actually want to do if you want to actually pivot 270 degrees in a satisfying way, you actually need to throw your leg out and lean forward this way. And then if you do that, it'll actually feel a lot more satisfying. But in reality, the biggest problem is the foot placements are not ideal. Instead of stepping up with the right foot here, he should have taken a step with the left foot first and then taken a step back with the right foot after he rotated 90 degrees. Then you can have a really nice transition. There might not be enough time for that, but that's how generally the bottom mechanics work for spinning around and taking steps. And then after that, this arc doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So you'll notice I've talked about this a couple times. The axis of rotation is very important. So here he's planning to throw this thing like a frisbee this way. So where does his axis of rotation exist, right? It's technically like this. Now, if we watch this, suddenly his spine is aligned in a totally different way, which is not good. It doesn't show consistency in rotational axis. So what you actually want ideally is for him to be lean slightly back and then have his arms here. Then he actually feels a little bit more on balance. That's his skill. It's mid. What's his ultimate? I really like that pose at the end. But what do I not like? Almost everything else. So I don't actually like this particular framing. He's way too far off to the right for us to see this pose, and he's too close to the camera. So this is actually an example where a low focal length actually works against you because you see too much distortion. You don't really see enough of the actual pose itself. From a silhouette perspective, that's just a blob. That doesn't really tell us so much. After that, this feels great. I actually really, really like this. And then here is where we disagree on where the wrist placement should be. Basically, why does he have to have his wrist here? And why does this have to be over here? Because this is the hinge. If he opens it this way. So the hinge is facing left, right? It's facing him. It's like in the axis here. It's on the left side. Where is it at the beginning? It's over here. The hinge is on the other side of this middle axis. So it makes no sense for him to open it up that way. It would be better for anticipation if the actual thing was opening kind of this way. I think the wrist itself also bends a little bit too much. Like he could have the wrist over here or something, but like I can understand that being a little bit difficult to do for the actual anticipation because this is the correct sort of orientation more or less. Honestly, Sampo's a D. Not a whole lot of things that are done well. All right, Serval, what you doing? I don't love this animation. It's missing some clarity here. I don't really know how she's stepping forward. I wish that they made her leg pose a little bit more clear here. Like the silhouette's just not clear enough for me. If they just pushed it a little bit further, like this would just read just a little bit better for me. And they'll make the slide make more sense because when you slide forward, you actually have to compensate with your leg a little bit more forward or else you'll fall over. So you need to have your center of mass a bit more balanced. Right now, the leg is a little bit too close to the like center of gravity for it to properly stop her sliding. So it feels a little weird. This is lacking anticipation. She just kind of whips her guitar at the very last second. I kind of wish she did something where like she actually builds the anticipation early so she could actually start in that pose that she has here, which I love. But then like here, I would recommend already being like over here. Like her guitar should already be in that. And then over here, probably just bring that arc down, transition it so that like it goes down here and have the arc go like basically here, down, back, and then boom. That would be a smoother arc so that you could build up to like bam. Serval ultimate. Yeah! Oh, hell yes. That's absolutely gorgeous. I'll put her in high A, like here. Let's do Sushang. That's a heavy sword, guys. So first of all, really creative using the kick first. I thought that was really cool. But like, this is what I'm talking about with like these lines of action that build on top of each other. She's got that arc that went around with the kick and immediately after the arc of the sword follows, right? It's a really, really cool double attack, but it really has the benefit of building up those arcs. And also the anticipation on this pose is fantastic. You got the straight arm here. You got the delay. It's actually doing a great job reserving its power so that it can have the greatest arc possible, which really builds the anticipation. Not only that, but afterwards, the weight is really good. You guys see how fast this sword falls afterwards? Such a cool attention to detail. It just immediately falls. And not only that, it does not bounce. This is something that is very, very specific to heavy objects. They don't bounce because they have too much mass. That's immediately telling me that this sword is heavy all throughout. It's really, really well conveyed. And like, this is just a cool character moment. I think generally speaking, she responds to the weight really well and she has a great character moment. That's really, really good. And then we have her ultimate. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's the one. That's the one. This is a fantastic, fantastic focal length. It's just so, so cool. Just a way to exaggerate this diagonal is just gorgeous. And then you have the chicken, bro. The chicken is so well animated. The smears are great. We have the squash and stretch. Look how squashed he is, right? And then right afterwards, stretchy boy. Look at that. That's squash and stretch. And it's well executed. It's hilarious. It's got great framing. It's got great anticipation here too. Got a huge payoff. That's an S tier character. Sushang is S. Tingyun. That's good. It's not doing anything terribly creative, but it's a good character moment. I think it's pretty much good as is. Ultimate. Oh, yes. This upwards anticipation is really, really good. Like the fan being delayed here in front of the camera is building so much anticipation for the final payoff. That's strong. She's a low S. She's quite solid. Bailu. All right, Bailu. What do we got? This is a great pose. Great silhouette. Really great character moment. Feels good. Bailu's talent. What do we got? Wait, that's so good. The thumbs are just confusing me, but otherwise it's fantastic. Yeah. I do really like this one. It is missing a bit of the anticipation, but overall, I would say she's an S. Bronya. Not bad, actually. I would probably, as a small thing, just have a little bit more weight on this frame. Just a little bit. It would add so much more anticipation to her. All right, Bronya, what else you got? Ultimate. Compositionally really good. I do wish there was just a little bit more anticipation here because they set it up like one, but they don't have the timing of one. I would put her as a very solid A. All right, Clara is next. Clara? Is it Clara or Clara? No, that's not Clara. That's Svarog. Okay. Okay, interesting. Svarog himself is more interesting to me than Clara is. Yeah, those are okay. I think it's just a pose, so it's nothing like crazy. Just the pose again. The pose here isn't quite strong enough. I think maybe it has a lot to do with like the elbows being hidden by her hair. Like the silhouette just isn't really clear because of these. Clara's probably a C. Is she a D actually? Because she just doesn't do a whole lot. Wait, that was good. I did not expect the weight and the arcs on this to be as good as they are. After he like attacks here, the arc for the effects comes in sooner than the actual weapon does. That actually adds a really cool element to it, which is like you kind of have this manufactured delay, which feels really good. And that spin here feels really good too. The rotation from this arc to this arc feels seamless. And then this right here, boom! Such a great transition to like a blunt weapon there. Really, really cool. Adds a lot of visual interest. It's really well done. All right, ultimate. The king of anticipation. Oh, it's so simple, but it's just so well executed, dude. That is anticipation in a nutshell. Gepard is definitely an S. All right, who's next? Himeko. Interesting. She feels like a less good version of Gepard. I say it just because she has a very similar weapon, but she's not executing it quite as well. I kind of don't like the camera angle here, so it's kind of unfortunate. But if you look at this, where are the arcs? Like what you could have had was a really, really strong silhouette here or strong silhouette like this. But instead, because the camera's straight on with the arc, you only get one line. And not only do you only get one line, but you also only get one line for the opposite arc. So like these blend together as the same arc. And it doesn't quite separate it as much as Gepard did. So it doesn't have as much visual interest. It feels a little bit basic. You do have to step at the end, which is cool, but then she pulls it out and it's way too long to actually make a very clear hit, and ends up blocking half of the camera anyway here. That was cool. Something a little bit weird with it. This has got a lot of potential, especially with the anticipation in this shot. But do you guys notice something? So the anticipation of this shot is that it's moving to the right. All the energy that you had moving to the right of the screen, gone. Now it's going the opposite way. And it's going the opposite way just at the very last second where you really need it the most, which saps out all the anticipation. It is unfortunate. But what does Himeko's ultimate look like? And is that going to be just as good? Oh yeah, satellite girl. Here we go. The effects are absolutely gorgeous. I do love her ultimate. This missile moves too predictably. So it's actually not building a lot of visual interest in something that could easily build a lot of visual interest with some camera shake, for example. So I would probably put Himeko as a whole in B tier. All right, Jing Yuan. Oh, yes, dude. That spear has weight. Notice how this spear, it's a little bit tucked under his armpit, but compared to Don Heng, there's more substance there to his pose. Excuse me? What was that? Did he pass it behind him? Dude, I have to give creativity points to this. That is so cool. I have one small gripe with it, which is just that the arcs here are not super clean when he hands it off, but he does it so fast, it's kind of easy to forgive. Okay, what's his talent? That's his what? That's an A tier talent as well. Okay. I did get a couple comments in the first video talking about how Jing Yuan is a very calm character and therefore he wouldn't look like he's trying that hard. I still think that he could try 15% more. I'm not saying do a lot, but just do a little more. He does a good job with it in the other skills. He knows what anticipation is, just have a bit more of it. I believe in Jing Yuan. That puts him overall in a pretty solid A tier. All right, Seele, what do you got? What just happened? I love that so much, and it really hurts me to say this, but I think this is the wrong pose. It sucks because everything is so good. I just feel like in order for her to properly hook up to the next pose, she kind of has to have her left leg actually extended, not her right one. And the reason for that is because she lands essentially mostly on her left leg. I know she's teleporting, but like I think visually it would make more sense if she just had ended the pose with a bit more of a straight left leg. Something like so, where she has like something like that. And then like this leg could probably be, maybe even like up here. Yeah, it's probably possible. This would honestly feel like a pretty good pose. Kind of dig this pose where the right leg is bent upwards and the left leg is pointed a little bit towards camera with the sole facing it. That feels good. And it would feel a little bit more anticipatory for that because I think it would set up the leg that she lands on a little bit better. Her ultimate, I know Seele's ultimate. It's fantastic. But the ending it just sucks. The ending isn't great because it just has so much buildup, so many great poses. Like that's fantastic. This is fantastic. And then this, no impact frames, no buildup to the explosion, nothing, just a crackle in the rift of space-time. Yeah, it's really not paying off all the anticipation. It's more of a disappointment than anything else. I think really like the beginning. Where would Seele be? I would put her pretty comfortably in S, but low S, because she does have a couple things that really fall flat. Let's go to Welt. I would say, generally speaking, the weight of his cane feels accurate. It's not too heavy. It's not too light. What's his ult? Synthetic black hole. Yeah, well, let's go. It's a small gripe here. As he comes up here and he reaches the peak of his hand translation, the cane is still rotating a little bit here to like go vertical. And I don't think momentum wise, it should be doing that. It should actually already be straight and mostly be like where it needs to be as long as the hand translation is at the peak of anticipation. So the cane kind of drifts when it could be already closer to his final pose here and then go down. That would just been better. I think high B feels pretty fair. Yanqing is next. The arc here isn't super clean on the hand, mostly because the swords kind of muddied this arc. I kind of wish these swords came out as he was like moving here. If these swords came out like here, and then they followed his hand as his hand was moving, it would like fan out along with this hand. That synchronization would feel better. So that kind of falls flat for me. Everything else is pretty good. Okay. Ultimate for Yanqing. Yeah. Yeah, this is the S tier ultimate. That's really good. That's really, really good. Great anticipation here on the hand. You see how the drag there really pays off that particular camera movement and the spinning swords. And just a lot of cool athleticism here. A great pose at the end and just beautiful arcs here and curves that just really work. His ultimate is an S, but I don't think I can put him in S. The skill just was a little disappointing. Pretty decent A, to be honest. Next is Yukong. That's cool. I do like this ending pose. I think this is a really cool pose that feels dynamic and it feels strong. It doesn't feel like overly graceful for no reason. So it feels like nice and realistic, which I feel like is good. This here just covers up her face a little bit. I'm not a big fan of that, but I don't really see a way around it unless you sort of angled it here. Small thing actually could have angled it here, had the arm here and been more like that and potentially like this, right? And then you have a little bit of window for the face here. That would have been nice. But Yukong's ultimate though, oh, my absolute favorite ultimate. So many cool lines of action. Like she spins, but then there's a counter diagonal spin on the effects, and then she like it's perfectly zooming into her, and then she does that, which is a great focal length there, and then some really cool arcs here with a great buildup that just all comes into a payoff here. That's the S tier. But is she an S tier character? Yeah, she's an S tier character. I would put her probably like mid S. All right, next we have Luocha. That's good. Oh, yeah, that's cool. I really like the fact that his sword is actually pointing downwards before he stabs it. That feels really good. See, now that I know it's a coffin, I do read it differently. This is the coolest part of the ultimate. This is so cool. And then that, look at all of that beautiful momentum. And notice how it curves upwards like a tidal wave. It's just got this beautiful arcs and the beautiful momentum that makes it feel ethereal and water-like at the same time. He is honestly really solid. Luocha, you're an A. Good job. Silverwolf. Can you guys guess why I'm not a fan of this? I can't see anything. The effects are too bright, but also the pose itself is lending itself to that. Like she should be here. That would help a little bit. I do think they need to kind of point it a little bit to the right. So like that screen space is a little hard to get. But you know, at the end of the day, you could have like a pose that looks a bit more like this. That would still feel just as good, if not better. So like if you had the gun just slightly lower in screen space, then you could have something that reads a bit better like that. So you have the gun here and you have like the shoulder showing up here. And then you have a bit more room to play with the glare without blocking her face because her face is up there. It's just not ideal to cover up the animation that you're trying to showcase. Yeah, rhythm game. If she had a straighter arm, it would feel so much better and you would get more anticipation from it because she'd be using more force. Shout out to this hand pose though. It's really good actually. I feel like the skill is bad enough that it's a C, but her ultimate is good enough where she's a B. Luka's next. That's cool. That actually has really good recoil. I like that a lot. Enhanced basic. Okay, that was good. That uppercut feels actually amazing. That's surprisingly good. I like his stuff a lot. But what's his ultimate? Yeah. I love the impact frames. The fingers here could have been so much more interesting. They're not properly building up this fist close, but they're trying to. So this fist close has got this kind of impact moment to it where it's like, oh, he closed his fist, but there's no extreme open. It's just a very relaxed open palm. And I don't like that. I think it should be more like that, you know, more like this, right? More like spread fingers out a little bit. This would give a much stronger pose to have the fist then smack close afterwards, right? It would have a lot more contrast there and it'll feel nice. I would say he is not an S, but he's probably, you know, mid A. Who's next? We have Blade. Pretty cool. Small thing here. Not a big fan of this. It's a small thing really, but it just, I feel like as he's coming back, if he just preempts that lean back just a little bit, it'll transition into this jump that he does later a lot better. All right, let's move on. Okay, skill. That's a good frame. Okay, that was sick. That's a skill. Okay. Okay, that was cool. I just wish I could see his sword. You don't see this at all. There's no way you can possibly detect that. The sword is too thin. I honestly think that the sword should have actually swiped the screen instead of going below the screen. Like, that's a little bit of a weird decision, but pretty good overall. I actually do like it. Ultimate time. Yeah, okay, that's cool. Very Mulan. Yeah, I still don't like it. Yeah. I mean, it's good. Don't get me wrong. But I still don't like that he doesn't really change pose here. Like, I wish he did something more at the very end. He does, like, slightly move his arm, and that's about it. And, like, it feels like he should show his face a little bit because he just completely blocks his face, which is unfortunate. And then he doesn't move. It would have been really cool if he actually had a bit more movement before the actual slice. And that can be done with some chest rotation and some, you know, actual hand rotation here. Like, if his arm was actually, like, closer to here or so, and this is, like, his hand, and this is, like, the blade could actually be visible if you wanted to have that anticipation there. It could actually be visible and be part of the anticipation frames, which would be great, but it's not. And it just sort of disappears. You don't even remember that it exists because you can't see it in this pose. You just don't see the thing that's going to kill you. I think it's ultimately fine. The pose is fine. It just doesn't change and it's not as interesting as the others. I'm going to put him in low S. I think he deserves that. He's just not quite as good as he could be. All right, Kafka, what skill do you got for me? Okay, that was cool. Does she change weapons? Or what is this? She catches it? No way. That's insane. The fact that she swings and then the sword comes out of her hand and then she picks it up again at the top of the peak and then just like attacks again with it perfectly, seamlessly. That's really good. Small gripe here. This particular pose is a little hard to read. It would have been cool if the sword was slightly pointed towards camera and a little bit to the right. I'd feel better. But anyway, overall, fantastic. Good job. Talent. She just shoots people. Her talent is that she has a gun. All right, ultimate. Kafka, come on. I remember you. Oh, the impact frames are absolutely gorgeous here. Kafka's goated, honestly. I love the camera work here. The animation is fantastic. The character animation is fantastic. Notice how the head leads that animation. Something I really, really liked about, I think it was like Qingque. It's a really good way to have interesting characters, especially ones that feel, you know, lackadaisical or have control over their movements really well. Great footwork here too, by the way. The pivot and the land, really, really well done. Is she high S? Yes. Kafka's definitely up there. Time for Lynx. That's so cute. Oh my god. She just opens a tuna can. Okay, hang on. I was gonna say like, oh, well, technically, like it's gotta peel first. But this is obviously intentional. It's cute as hell. Lynx ultimate. Yeah, great anticipation on this pill throw at the end. That's really good. But the rotation here doesn't feel great. I think the spine should actually feel aligned and it should rotate mostly along this axis here. When I say like, I mean like along this axis, right? Like sort of twisting the chest. But actually right now, the spine itself is sort of going this way and this way. And it's sort of like taking away the axis of rotation that you kind of need for the movements that she's doing. So that's my personal opinion. I do think it's very cartoony. It feels nice, but it's just not something that I would necessarily say is correct. Really cute, solid. Lynx is an A. Don Hung IL. What does that stand for? Inhibitor Luna. There we go. Dude, he looks so cool. Okay, he just draws paint on them and they die. That's badass. Yeah, that's good. That's a good skill. You have multiple skills? This is skill 1? What's skill 2? Okay. I have a thought about the rotation of this guy. I kind of just wish it was javelin in a closer rotation like this. It doesn't have to be like this, right? But it has to at least be like just a little bit more, would have felt good in my opinion. A small thing, small thing. Skill 3. Oh my god. Dude, the guy literally just said up yours. Up yours. Bro. It is absolutely gorgeous. It is an S tier. That isn't even fair, dude. The animation movements of this part right here is very martial arts slash dancer coded. So it's very hard to do when you're just like doing normal movements. So it shows a really strong grasp of the gracefulness that is required for this movement to even work. Feels really good. And it has a lot to do with the relationship between the chest and the hand and everything like that. The timing is really well offset. So where is Dan Heng? IL, probably one of the top S ones that we have so far. Fushan, what are you doing? Okay, not bad. It's satisfying to look at. It follows all the arcs. It's got good character beats. I like it. Okay. That's also looks like an S tier skill. What's her ultimate again? Oh, what? Okay. Okay. That is insanity. I love the clap on this one. It feels super snappy. It feels really real. It just feels good. Beautiful arcs, beautiful gravitational sort of like slingshot here on her torso, which is crazy. But this pose is absolutely gorgeous. And then crushes it again, literally. Goes into that composition, gorgeous. And then the payoff here is actually really well done. And guess what we have here? Impact frames. You have everything you need. Okay. All right. That's... All right. Gwen Iphone, what are you doing? Fireworks girl. Okay, that's cute. The arc here doesn't really work for me. It's decent, but the physics bro inside me just tells me it shouldn't bounce higher than her. I mean, it does technically, but just like the bounciness this doesn't make as much sense to me. Small thing. It's fine. It's good. What's her ultimate again? Oh, she's got the gong. That's right. Yes. I love this. Honestly, her ultimate is an S, but her skill is a B. So I'm gonna put her in A. Jing Liu. Okay, all right. That's the enhanced skill. What's the normal skill? That was cool. Look at the anticipation on this. It's very subtle. She's holding this pose for just a little bit, and then she snaps the arc. Look at that. Absolute, just like snaps it. Boom. What great effects here. Perfect anticipation for it. It's gorgeous. That's really good. Those arcs are so good. And not to mention, like, I just love the idea that she spins it into this vertical pose perfectly. There's no settling. That pose just exists. It's perfectly aligned and it stays there. I love it when there's no drift on this thing. And then the arc that's accentuated by this, and then you have like this pose and the composition is gorgeous. Oh my God. I think this is gonna be, yeah, this is yes. Oh, impact. Praise, bro. Why is there so many S's, bro? Is she? Oh my God. Maybe? I don't know. She's really good, bro. What's next? Topaz. Let's see what her skill looks like. Yeah, oh, that's good. Holy shit. Wait, what? The anticipation on this is actually fantastic. Look at the screen wipe. I love screen wipes, dude. Look at this pose right here. Look how far back Numpy is. And also stretched too. That sets it up perfectly with how low down her head is here. That sets up this perfect arc that goes straight in front of camera. Like, that's how exaggerated it is. If you didn't have this pose, then it would feel rather bland. But because there's two extremes here, very forward, very back, you get a really good anticipation. That's fantastic. That's the enhanced skill. This is the normal skill. Slightly different. Got it. Ultimate time. Yeah. She's the stonks meme. I remember now. Love the stretchiness of her expression here. Just the squash and stretch on her face there is gorgeous. And then right here, just so much visual interest. And what a great anticipation for the zoom in here to zoom out again. That's really, really cool. Topaz is an S. Guys, we're going to need to make an SS tier. This is ridiculous. So these are SSs. I think Sushang is probably an SS, and that probably stops there. I think this is fair. Now, hopefully we can move on to 1.5 without freaking out. I haven't seen any characters past 1.4, so let's see what happens. All right, Anya, what you got? Okay. But it's nothing special. It's got interesting arcs here. Like, I like that. That's kind of cool. What is Hanya's ultimate? That was good. Wait, I love this so much, dude. What? This is so gorgeous. It's just so fun to play around with arcs, especially when you can see them visually with effects. That's just gorgeous, bro. This is a great just payoff right here. Notice how these like rings come out. It's almost as if she's shaking the ink off. Really, really cool. And then this, it actually like it follows the line of action. So her hand goes up in the previous frame with a screen wipe, and then this thing comes up. It'd be nice if it came up as well, but I understand that it's like not trying to do damage, so maybe that's why. Hanya is a high A. I think she's quite good, but her skill is just not interesting enough to really put her higher than an A. Argenti? That was cool. There's just missing like a line of action that really solidifies the stabbing direction. It's okay, but I feel like as a small thing, I would rather see it just one frame of the stabbing motion like here, just so it transitions a little bit better to the stabbing motion. It's a small thing. This is an ultimate at half stack. Whoa. Whoa, what? Oh, wait, I gotta watch the full stack one now. Hold up, what's going on here? Dude, that was so good, bro. Holy shit. I just absolutely love this. Look at the arcs here. Absolutely gorgeous. But not only that, the anticipation here, look how far back the spear still is. Even though he's all the way up here, spear's all the way back here. Really good anticipation to build up to this amazing slash. Such a good slash. And then the spin here, again, more anticipation here, and then more payoff here. That is just catch and release, catch and release. There's so much anticipation and so much payoff, dude. I love it. I would honestly put him in low S. Yeah, honestly above Blade. Well, yeah, no, yeah. All right, next is Hua Hua. Oh, it's so cute. She's so scared. Okay. That's a really cute character one. I do like that one a lot. Ultimate. Holy shit, that's so cool. I like this, and it's really well done because I normally would be like, oh, let's add some more anticipation, but actually she's like kind of a weak character and she doesn't really feel motivated to do the thing that she's doing. So it's actually better that they don't overdo her arcs, and I think they did a really good job not overdoing her arcs in that one. Her ultimate is like interesting. From a creativity perspective, I give that a huge bonus, but I would say like animation wise, I do kind of wish one thing. I wish we didn't cut off so much of this. Like, I don't see the tail. The effects get a little lost as well because they could be here, you know, they could be here and she could be here, but instead we have her down there, which is not as good. I would rather have her a bit more center and a bit more like effects going around her. I feel better to me, but this is a really cool shot. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love it. So Hua Hua, honestly, I would give her a solid A. Xue Yi is next. Assassin, clearly. Not actually impressed. First of all, these poses are fantastic. I do love those. But this landing part here is a little strange. The landing here needs to be adjusted. She's got her left leg down here, and that's great. And then as she goes, her left leg goes backwards. In reality, her left leg should actually be forwards because she was leaning forwards, right? Even if she were to try to straighten herself out, she really can't in a very easy way because that's not how midair movement works. And then as she goes, you could have her land in this pose more smoothly if the leg was just a little bit more forward. You would just have to rotate the body a little bit more. You would have the rotation of the torso after she lands, basically allow for that knee to happen essentially in a really nice way. And you'd have her slightly rotated towards the camera just a little bit more, which is not a bad thing. I think it'd be fine. All right, ultimate time. Excuse me, I believe the queen of anticipation has been dethroned. Have I not been telling you guys about javelin throws, guys? This is a javelin throw through and through. This tells you exactly where the knife is going. That's a whole calendar year that you're waiting for her to throw it. And it feels so good because you know where it's gonna go. It builds on your expectations and it pays them off. It's fantastic. I love it. I put her in a low S. It's just quite good. Dr. Ratio Time. That name is hilarious. Solid. Does he only read one page? It's like it's supposed to be like a book of knowledge or whatever, but it's literally just like a 2-page book. Oh, he just threw chalk at the guy. First of all, fantastic focal length. This is absolutely incredible. The dynamic diagonals and everything, it's great. And then you also have the arcs here at the beginning. Follow this arc on my screen. You guys feel that? It's like a train on a rail. It feels so good. It's exactly where you want the arcs to go. And it just goes right into the focal length shot, which is really good. Honestly, that's really good. Let's go to the ultimate now. Okay. What? Dude, he just Pythagoras theoremed his ass. I gotta give props to like the creativity on this one. I really like it a lot. I love like how he's walking out. Notice a couple things here, right? Arm completely straight down. Very relaxed, very calm, very collected. Head tilted down, eyes closed, very relaxed. Really cool guy. And then also just this whole bit here is just genius. Look at that pose. I love that face. The face is so good. Also a small thing here. There's a slight delay on the hand actually moving the thing, which shows that there's a correlation, not just in how this controls the thing, but also in the weight of the pillar, guys. They're showing that the pillar has weight and telekinetic value. Is that not super cool? I think that's super cool. Yeah, and that's just a great payoff. Honestly, he's actually so solid. There's nothing wrong with him at all. He's an SS. So, who's next? Ruan Mei. Yo, she just dismantled that banjo. This is definitely a peapod though, right? Probably. It's a good skill. I actually like the animation a lot. She follows the arcs really well and she uses the momentum really well. I really like any arc that transfers momentum from one angle to another because it really shows like a nice flowiness and a nice dynamic state to the line of action. It really transitions it really well. And the better it can transition it, the smoother you can transition lines of action. Generally speaking, like the better quality the animation is. All right, the ultimate. Let's see what happens. What do we have here? Dude, I feel like I was about to watch a music video. Man, as a director, I love that. Gotta call props to like the fact that they actually have finger animation that makes sense. And like the composition of those shots, it's gorgeous. It's really good. I feel like she's an S. I like her a lot. I think she's mid S. All right, Misha's next. She has a mop? Guys, is Misha a guy or girl? Okay, Misha's a guy. I had a feeling, okay? Okay, it's good. There's a small gripe. The way he catches it doesn't quite make sense from a weight perspective because I know they have to transition to having the mop like on the ground here, but I do feel like it goes down just a little bit too early and like it should still be up here as he catches it, but be up here until eventually his hand stops moving and then that would go down. So I think that's a small thing. It would be slightly better that way. Decent. It's all right. Not perfect. Oh my God, the luggage. The luggage. Oh my dude. Oh man, I'm loving how good these ultimates are becoming, dude. Over time, they're just so creative. I think overall, he's an A. Now we have Black Swan. Okay, that's sick. What the fuck? Okay. All right, what's next? Ultimate. It's really good, but it does disappoint me just a little bit. This is gorgeous. This is all great. Fantastic composition, by the way. Like, this is just good. Not only is this all radially very interesting, but you'll notice that each hand has a different scale. So this is big, this is small, this is small, this is medium, this is big, this is medium, this is big, this is medium. By varying up the distance of the hand, you're giving a nice visual texture to sort of like the danger and the randomness of the effect itself. And it feels really, really textured and it feels really, really nice. This is a great curve. Look at how this hand moves. It scoops underneath first the frame. It's going down diagonally as you go forward. It's going up diagonally. See how much of a difference that is? You don't notice it because it transitions so cleanly, but it really does just scoop the screen space, which is a really cool way to build energy and to have a nice arc in screen space, even when you're going forward. I don't like the ending. I think my issue really is this. I feel like the arms grabbing the wrist of the other arm starts to decentralize the focus a little bit. I think they could have grabbed the wrist up a little higher just so you can't really tell that they're grabbing a different part of the body and then just have that build up. Like, don't have this gap here, ideally. And I think you could still have the rays come out through the front instead, so you kind of get that same like feeling of like these rays here, because by decentralizing it, you're making this central focus point less impactful because there's no central focus point in the previous frame. It doesn't quite connect as well. This has two central frames. This has one central frame. It doesn't work. Also, from the momentum perspective, I can see what they're trying to do. They want it to be like, oh, they're pushing so hard to the point where it crushes and then it goes they go past each other. The problem here, of course, is that the palms are open, and the palms being open doesn't make sense if they're flexing. So in the previous shot, if they are exerting a lot of effort and their muscles are flexing, as you can see here, they're all closing their fists. They would close their fists as much as they possibly can because they are pushing. So if you want to signify that things got squished and squashed and squeezed, make these into fists. It would be so much more impactful and so much stronger. Make each and every single one of these a death grip, right? Because that will signify the squishing so much better than these claws, which look cool, but they're not doing much else. They just look cool. They got cool silhouettes. Right now, this feels great, but it feels like a totally separate moment. Let's see. Where do we put Black Swan? Maybe a high S. She's good. Sparkle is next. It's a really good pose. I really like the facial animation. It's good. The goldfish works really well. It's got great arcs. What's her ultimate, actually? Oh yeah, we animated that. That's cool. I do like that animation a lot, honestly. I'm a little biased, but I gotta give it props. Like, it's such a great character moment. Great framing, good posing. She's an S for sure. Not doing anything crazy, but doing it really well. Next up is Gallagher. Damn, okay. Just beat that guy up. That was pretty cool. I like that. Haha, alcohol. Okay, I want to talk about this actually real quick. He does a really good job transferring his momentum from the kick into the stab. So like it goes from boom, boom. See how that flows the line of action really well? It's that transition that I really like. What's his ultimate? Okay, the anticipation on that was pretty good. Does he beat the King of Anticipation? Unfortunately, no. Also, I have another small gripe. Don't like this broken wrist pose. It just doesn't feel quite right. What I would recommend instead is probably something that just feels a bit more like this, but just have it pushed forward a little bit instead of pushed inwards a little bit. Because right now, it's just being pushed inwards and it's sort of like breaking that wrist pose a little bit, and I don't like that. But everything else is good. What is he? I put him in an A, honestly. And then we'll go to Acheron. Wait, what? This is a really rare case of something reading super well despite the speed. This is a very straight line, just bouncing back and forth, right? When she comes back, watch that path. She curves back in. She has these beautiful arcs and it makes it feel different than the original attack. It feels really satisfying and just have such creativity with how she merges these clones together. This is an SS skill. Okay, this is her ultimate. She's changed hair color. Okay, okay. She broke the fabric of reality. There are two things that are not perfect. They're very, very minor things. I feel like just actually a bit more of her sword would work really well. You just see a bit more of that three-dimensionality of it, and it would attract a lot of attention to the depth of this scene because you don't really see how close the sword is to you. You see it, but you don't feel it. And then another small thing is just like a slightly higher. Everything else is great. And then there's one more thing. So basically right here, we're in a predicament where the sword doesn't actually follow a nice curved path. This moment here, notice how the sword just kind of goes from here and then just kind of goes here and then just kind of messily goes here and then goes like that. What you could have instead, which would be nice, is something that feels sort of like boom, like that, right? Something a little bit more smooth would have been really nice. But honest to God, her skill makes up for it. She is an SS. All right, next is Aventurine. Rich boy. Just giving out money. Dude, that's a skill. Now, what's his talent? Oh shit, more money? Yo, I love this guy. He straight up opens a portal to his bank account and destroys them. But I do really want to compliment this pose. Just look at this composition, bro. Like, that's great. If you actually pay attention to the fingers here, he actually does snap, which is really impressive. He's just Topaz, but with the money already. You know what I mean? He and Topaz are co-workers. That makes a lot of sense. Topaz makes the money and he just gambles it away. It's perfect. Look at that wrist flick. It's like, you see that? So this is great because specifically he's rolling the dice. So he's giving a flick of the wrist here that actually should, in theory, roll the dice for him. And it feels really, really satisfying to watch. I think Aventurine is mostly an A, but slightly S-shaped. I think that's good. Next up is Boot Hill. Oh my god. Oh shit, what the holy god. I thought it was done. Okay. The way he hits the gun is so satisfying. Like the arc there is good and then it leads into the arc there. That's great. It's a finger gun? I didn't even know that, bro. Okay, even better, dude. Oh my god. But yeah, look at this anticipation. I love this lean forward. Bringing his head closer to the camera than his hand for a split second really helped bring that anticipation out. And that is why this feels so good when he does this. And of course, this is the great focal length that we've talked about before, like when you really have like these strong dynamic lines. That's good. The ultimate. Oh my god. Yeah, that's pretty cool. This is just so well done. The framing on this is so gorgeous. And it's the enemy, which is just so creative, dude. They like just straight up like put the enemy. Oh my god, it's so creative. Look at that hand pose, bro. It's so cool. It's so satisfying. Beautiful silhouette. Every single finger is visible and he catches it like it's nothing. And then he has a bullet in his mouth, flicks it out, and then catches it with his gun. From a creativity perspective, that's S tier, bro. The only thing I have a problem with really, and this sucks because it's such a small thing, the recoil on his gun is too high and it comes too early. People don't realize that when you shoot a gun, you are bracing for recoil at the beginning. So actually, it doesn't move your hand until a couple frames later after the gun fires. Boot Hill's an S, a pretty high S actually. I'd put him probably here. All right, guys, we're going to Robin. Pretty basic, nothing crazy. That's really cute. There's a lot of secondary motion here with the wings. So you can see the wings come in here. They flap a little bit later than her head in terms of like translational speed and stuff. It's super cute. She feels really angelic there and really, really innocent. And there's actually a really good anticipation here with the screen wipe. This actually feels really, really good. I'd say that feels like a good ending. It's really just this particular frame. It makes sense that her palm is facing up here, but her palm isn't facing up here. So it almost feels like from a continuity perspective, it would feel better to connect that motion a bit more and just have her open her palm towards camera. What is Robin? I feel like she's a pretty solid A. Who's next? Firefly. Oh, it's a Gundam. Yeah, cool. That's crazy. Let's go to the skill. Okay, dude, this is so badass. Holy shit. Wait, Firefly's a waifu? First of all, facial appreciation, fantastic. Whatever the hell this shit is, this is gorgeous. Well, I mean, just look at the composition on this thing, right? You have all these lines going into the character and out of the character and like just filling up most of the negative space. And this is just such a great payoff. That's fantastic. This pose is honestly pretty good. How is this a skill if the other one's an enhanced skill? All right, what's the ultimate look like, guys? So it's a transformation ultimate. That's cool. I understand now why this looked like an ultimate. That makes so much sense. This is her ultimate. That's so cool, dude. I love this pose, guys. Look at this pose. Either it's Gundam or it's Sailor Moon or it's both. Can you imagine channeling both in a single frame and having it work because it's a waifu Gundam? Is that not amazing? It's literally perfect. Honestly, you are up here in the SS territory. We need an SSS tier. It's just required at this point. Yeah, they're just in a league of their own. Let's go next to Jade. Holy sh... Oh my god. Okay. Oh my god. I was not ready for that at all. That right there is what sold it for me. Look at how the line of action follows, right? She pulls it out of the ground this way specifically. They could have made her pull it out this way, but that would make no sense because what you want is for the snake to come up afterwards, which guess what? Is going that way. It's following the exact line of action that you want. It's really, really good. All right, let's look at our normal follow-up attack. Yeah, it's all right. It's not as good, but it's good. All right, what's her skill? I guess it's both. Oh, she signs it. That's cute. She's a debt collector. That's hilarious. Literally step on me. Okay. Honestly, her ultimate isn't as good as her enhanced follow-up attack. I don't actually like the snake's rotation here. It's anticipating an angle that looks like this, right? Like you want kind of like an angle that looks like this because that's the direction that his jaw hinges are facing. And at the last second, he just like rotates like 45 degrees. Not a big fan of that personally. I'm gonna put her in low S. She is a slightly disappointing child in the ultimate. That's all. All right, guys, we got March 7th again. This is March 7th, The Hunt, I believe. Was that Boba? Wait, hold up. That's straight up Boba. That's amazing. Okay, what's next? Talent 1. This is very similar to Topaz's ultimate. I just want to point out this might be obvious, but like I just really appreciate it. Question mark, exploding question mark. It just pops open. It's really cute. That's a really cool effect. I like that a lot. Adds a lot to it. This is her enhanced basic attack. Oh, that's actually pretty good. Talent 2. Oh no, guys, they did it wrong. This particular movement is actually called a butterfly in martial arts. And it's a very specific move because it requires a lot of acrobatics and the ability to flip in midair in a way that isn't backwards or forwards, it's sideways. I actually know how to do this particular move and it's missing a couple of things. First of all, technically speaking, she should probably not slice sideways for the first one. It's kind of fine if she does, but she should slice slightly downwards. So that way you can have this kind of movement here, right? What that does also though is it means that this particular leg should be like higher up earlier because the leg is actually what brings up your momentum. And this leg should be more mounted here in theory. Technically, this should be here and that would feel a lot better if the legs were apart because you're getting this gyroscopic motion between the distance between the legs that really helps turn the rest of the body. And eventually this leg will hit the ground and this leg will go up. And that's how the flip happens essentially. It's how you stay in the air. But the problem of course is that she lands on both feet and you don't do that with a butterfly. You land on one foot first. And when I mean by one foot first, I mean like very deliberately one foot first, not just like a frame before the other one. She would actually land pretty much in this pose, but just on the ground. So she'd actually be here and the other leg would actually be closer to here and she'd be like down here and stuff. And unfortunately, she didn't do it. It's probably not exactly what they were going for, but I think the structure of it should have been similar. Ultimate time. Oh my God. A montage? Wait, that's so cute. These poses are fantastic. I love these. They look so drawn too. So it's really, really cool. The head arc here is a little messy. Let me just draw the arc. It goes like boom, 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 boom. Do you guys see that? It's really messy. It should be smoother than that. It should be a curve. But, you know, if it's a curve, it'll look really satisfying. That's my one gripe. I think the other gripe here is that this pose right here doesn't read super well. I feel like if we just lower the shoulders a little bit and then like tilted the chest slightly towards camera and then had that over here and stuff like that, that would be a little bit better just to have more of her face showing. That's really cute though. Where would I put March 7th The Hunt? Honestly, I would say probably low A. We're gonna go to Jiao Qiu. It's cute. That's cute. It's like an exploding spice. That's also an exploding spice. That's very cool. I mean, his animations are pretty basic. He's only doing like one move. This is a really cool thing that he's doing here though. He flicks his arm towards the explosion. And then by the time you zoom out, it looks like he never even did it. That's a really cool optical illusion. Yeah, he's a pretty solid A tier character. We have so many A tier characters. It's crazy, dude. Yun Li is next. All right, so this is her skill. Yeah, that's... Okay, that's a heavy sword, bro. That's really well animated. Just the fact that like you have her scraping it, that's a heavy sword. That's already really good. But then you have this transfer where the curve goes here and it goes up. I can't draw in 3D, but in a nice way, right? It goes like this and then it goes up. And I'm talking about these transitions of these rotations because they're so satisfying to look at when done right. This is a good example of that. Horizontal, then vertical, you barely even notice because it's so smooth. That's really, really good animation. So she's transferring that momentum and then suddenly yeets it over, which feels really, really good. It feels deserved. It feels earned. That feels so good, dude. And let's just not fail to mention her footwork. I love how she's pivoting on one foot and she's unstable, but she knows that. She's not pretending to be stable. She leans forward to catch herself with her other foot at exactly the same time that she needs to lean forward to throw this thing. This anchor gives her the pivot required for that shot. And then afterwards, how great of a pose is this? Really show the heaviness of it by lifting up this foot and just show how far she has to lean onto this foot. There's not even any weight that she can put on this foot anymore. And technically speaking, it's raised because there's more weight on this side. So raising her foot actually fulcrums back the weight back to this side. It's a really nice way to get that balance out. All right, Yun Li, what's your talent? Okay, just like the same thing, but with like a cinematic and really cool. Before we go to this, let's go to the enhanced talent, okay? Bro, there's no way that's not an ultimate. That's just absolutely insane. This is so cool. Both of her feet are on her toes. This is such a great attention to detail. Pushing the foot forward on her toes. You know what this means specifically? This pose means her knees are pointed inwards. So you get a really, really cool like image of what her pose actually is. And then you get this, which by the way, the clouds coming out, guys. That is such a sense of scale that like I just can't not mention it. That is so good. What's really cool about this actually, this is a really subtle thing. You know how normally with a really heavy sword, there's like anticipation and you kind of want to have the head like forward and like the hand like backwards because it's dragging the sword and stuff like that. Her head is actually quite stationary. There's not a lot of anticipation here going on, but it's correct. How is this the correct way to do it if it's breaking all the rules of anticipation before? Why does it feel good here, but not in other shots? Because the sword is so heavy that she's not dragging it. Weight of the sword, that is almost pushing her forward. She's just guiding it in the right direction. She's not pulling the sword, so she can't have anticipation in that sense. She's just letting it fall. This is really smart. That is so cool, dude. She still has an ultimate. Let's watch the ultimate. Yeah, so her ultimate's the enhancement. That's fair. I do like it, but there is like a small gripe that I have with it. It just feels like the sword stops a little early because I kind of want it to go like past her head a little bit, or like just like I want the arc to be like this, but that will break the slash at the end. So my theory is that the reason why it feels early is because the tip comes in too early. So actually the tip should probably be a little heavier and should probably be like over here during this pose, right? And then that way it can settle just a little bit before this happens, instead of the sword being totally still. That's my guess. I think that would work a little bit better. That's the only thing. It's just to add a little bit of delay on the tip of the sword and have a bit of weight there and a little bit of settle there, and it would feel great. Absolutely, she's an SSS, in my opinion. I don't think she can be anything else. So let's do MC. There's a lot of MCs. We have MC Basic Kalis. This is his skill. Baseball bat feels pretty basic, not bad. This is the ultimate. That's cool. Holy shit. Okay. And then we have apparently MC Ultimate single target. That's pretty cool. I really like this. This feels fantastic. Great diagonal line here. It feels really strong, which I like a lot. This feels really good as well. Like the arcs and everything feel really good here. Everything else is pretty mid. Base Chaos is a B. Not super impressed, but the ultimate brings them up just a little bit. We have Stell, base Stell. That feels better for some reason. All right, what's your ultimate? Stell. Yes, dude, I love the way she moves her bat. You guys see that? It spins around her hand. That's so cool. Okay, fair enough. I do like it, but they're pretty basic. I would put her in an A. Now let's take a look at Preservation Kalis. It's all right. Yes! Dude, that's what I'm talking about. I think Preservation, yeah, I'd put him like at Renix and Gallagher. Let's look at Fire Stell. Dude, why is Stell so much better than Kayla? Dude, this feels better as an angle. I don't know why. It might even just be like the same, but it just feels better as an angle. Like the stab feels right. It feels good. The other stab did not feel as good. It felt, oh my gosh, he also does that. Okay, all right, skill. Why is that so much cooler, bro? She gets symmetry and he just gets, I'm holding a thing. That's really good. All right, what's her ultimate? Yep, that's great. Your diagonal line's so good. The stab at the end, the payoff. Oh my god, dude. She's about the same as Preservation Kalis, to be fair. I'd put her probably in high A. All right, guys. It is Michael Jackson time indeed. Oh my god. That's pretty cool, actually. This I like a lot. There's like a slight bit of drag on the hand, which feels really good. It's not over the top, but it feels good. All right, ultimate. Yo! Oh my god. None of that was Michael Jackson-y at all. It's not bad. What I will say is he's a little too gooey. I think like the clock makes sense. The clock is doing a lot of like very sort of Western squash and stretch, which is great. I'm noticing that Kalis actually feels a little sticky to the ground. This is like a center of mass thing mostly. The center of mass is feeling a little bit like he's not able to pick himself up as much. This is supposed to be up here. It's getting exaggerated a little bit for the dance and like that's cute. It's good, but like he's not quite that heavy. So it's like a small thing. I think it's really cute as a dance, but it's just not what I expected. I would put Harmony Cal probably like here. All right, let's see what else we got. We have Harmony Stell. I like that pose at the end. Why do I like that pose? Same reason I like most of the poses. Every limb is very clear, except for the one in the back, which is fine. Ultimate time. I do like her dance better. I think it's this pose that I like better. I'm going to double check if I am a hypocrite. I'm not. I'm right. Her pose is better. I'm not crazy. Yeah, her pose is more exaggerated. They just pushed it more. You got the inward knee, the higher elbow. I'm not biased. I would put her probably like here. So this is Moe's. Oh my god, he's so cool. Okay, he's very cool. Let's look at his talent. Okay. Dude, look at these arcs, guys. Look at these. Look, the line of action just comes in through past camera. Look at that. That's gorgeous. Where's the next one go? The exact same line. Oh my god, that's so cool. The fact that he disappears too. All right, ultimate. Not as cool as I thought it would be, honestly. I was hoping it'd be a little bit cooler. I do kind of wish that he held his knife a little further back, just to have a little bit of drag there so that the speed could be emphasized more, because he got some really good speed lines here. But like the knife pretty much stays stationary. If he had just like a little bit of drag there with the hand, I think it would have felt a little bit better. And then this like feels solid. It's good, but it's also just like a slash. I think what I probably would recommend would be like having this not feel as slow, so that it feels like the momentum actually comes from him flying up. So like he flies up here, right? Which is really, really good. You could easily have that momentum carry on. So notice how this is the same vector that this hand is moving. You can have that momentum carry on to the hand, which I think you're trying to do, but it's moving too slow to actually convey that. So I'd actually recommend that to be faster at the beginning. So it's sort of like, whoa, and then like slow down here. So it's like slow-mo, which would add to the anticipation. And then you do that and it'll feel so good. He's got really good stuff, but it's just slightly disappointing. And that's basically what the S tier is for. So let's put him there. And now it's time for Fei Xiao. Wait, what? That's not What? We talked about this. Head in the front, weapon in the back. Really, really good. Great arcs. Drags the ground. This is just such a good composition. I absolutely love this. I adore this. That energy flow up. Really good. Great payoff. Here's the talent. That's just cool. All right, we're going to see what the ultimate's like. I don't know if I'm ready. I like the pose. Her clothes fall off? Ah! Ah! She punches the dragon. Dude, that's insane, bro. She literally goes Super Saiyan, uses like every single weapon, and then punches. Look at this right here. This is a screen wipe with anticipation. The hand's over here, head's over there. Head's leading. Where's it going? Across the screen. The hand leads into the effects, leads into the screen wipe, leads into everything else. It's just gorgeous. And then look at this pose. The Super Saiyan pose with the silhouette is gorgeous. Look at that. They honestly did so much work to emphasize this, which is just incredible. I'm in love. This is great. This is so good. Dude, like, it's crazy because this is actually not like a great silhouette here, but like you have such a great pose here for the hand that's so big and so front and center. You have the anticipation built into it. So the hand is actually leading by being in front while the other hand is in the back. This is the anticipation that we're talking about with the head as well, but with the hand this time, and the hand just comes directly to the camera. And then that's just insane. There's wings at the end too. What? Dude, the creativity on this is insane. And the wings follow the momentum of the tornado for just a split second, and it really carries out over the impact into the aftermath, and it's so good, dude. Oh, where does she go? Oh, where is she gonna go? Where is she gonna go? She's SSS, guys. Obviously, Fei Xiao's SSS. Do we even have to talk about why that's the case? The problem now, of course, is that we have to decide who is the absolute best character in the game. That is hard because all of these are really, really, really good. Bro, legitimately, I can't decide. It is actually just Fei Xiao, I think, is the winner. But honestly, it really could have been any one of the SSS characters. And that just goes to show how much Honkai Star Rail really values their animators. And I've heard that their animations are just as good, if not better, in their cinematics. They've been releasing trailers, cinematics, music videos, and all that stuff, but I personally haven't seen any of them yet. I've been saving them for a video, so subscribe if you don't want to miss that one. And if you want to hear me talk more about animation, check out this video you'll probably like.